Hey guys, it's CodingTuts and welcome back to a brand new video. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to create a side nav that lies underneath the page or the body itself. And when you toggle it, instead of the side nav sliding in from the right, the whole body slides to the left and reveals the side nav underneath. So let me show you an example. As you can see, when I toggle it, the side nav doesn't change its position, but the body slides to the left and reveals the side nav that's underneath. So that's pretty simple to do, and let's just jump into the tutorial. Alright, so currently the side nav doesn't have any functionality. As you can see, when I click it, nothing happens. And let me show you the markup of the side nav. So in our HTML, you can see that I just have a div with a class of side nav, and it's the first thing actually in the body. And it's just a div with a class of side nav. Inside there's the span, that's this icon. And then we have a UL with some links, and that's about it. So in our CSS, the way I've styled it is I've given it position absolute, width of 330 pixels, height of 100 viewport height, and then just right 0 and top 0 for its position. Excuse me, I'm a little bit sick. But yeah, so, and then I just go on to style the links and the icons and everything, as you can see. So if we want to make sure that the side nav is actually underneath the body, we have to wrap everything inside of the body in a div, but except, on the side nav. So that's why I've put the side nav the first thing on the page in the body. So we're going to wrap everything in a div, and I'm going to give it a class of body wrapper. And then as you can see, I start off the div right after the side nav, and I'm gonna close it off after the last thing on my page, which is the footer. So right here, there we go. Now I'm going to refresh, and nothing has changed because we actually need to go to the CSS and style it. And right underneath body, I'm going to type in body wrapper, and then I'm gonna give it a position of relative. Width of 100% because I want to make sure its height is 100% of the body, and then min height is 100 viewport height because the side nav has a minimum height, or actually its height is 100 viewport height, so I want to make sure that the body wrapper has a minimum height of 100 viewport height as well. And then background color is going to be white, just the same as the body itself, because this is going to be our new body. And yeah, now I'm going to paste, because I've copied some styling, and it's just a box shadow attribute, and then a transition, cubic Bezier transition that instead of doing everything smoothly, it sort of jumps back a little bit. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a really cool transition, so I just copied it from a transition generator I found online. And then the box shadow is, well, I'm going to show you what that does in a second. So let's hit save and refresh, and well, nothing has changed. And because what we need to do is actually give it a z-index of 100 to make sure that the side nav appears underneath. So I'm gonna do exactly that. Is z-index, well, it doesn't have to be 100, but it has to be a higher value than the z-index of the side nav, and it doesn't have a z-index, so that's why I'm gonna put in 100. And yeah, as you can see, the side nav is hidden underneath. And so now what we need to do is essentially with jQuery, when we click on the toggle button, we're gonna give the body wrapper a class of toggled, and that class of toggled essentially will be a margin left of minus 330 pixels, the width of the side nav. So as you can see, our side nav has a width of 330 pixels. So I'm going to say body wrapper with the class of toggled, margin left minus 330 pixels, the width of the side nav. There we go. If you don't have a fixed width in jQuery, you can get with a document.ready function, you can get the width of the side nav, by just doing .width, and you can set that attribute before the function of the side nav. I hope you guys understood me. If not, just comment below and I'll explain better. But yeah, so now we're also gonna give the body, because when we click the toggle button, we're also gonna give the body itself a class of toggled. So body.toggled, and all that's going to do is actually hide the overflow. And this is not necessary, but since the top nav doesn't follow me to the rest of the for the rest of the page, I want to make sure that when you toggle it, when you toggle the side nav, you can't scroll down, because then you won't be able to, for example, close it off, since the toggle button stays to the top, it doesn't follow you. Yeah, and that's about it for our CSS. Now let's go to our JavaScript, or jQuery in this case, but you can also write it in vanilla JavaScript. And I'm going to say document.ready, and then we're gonna run this function when it loads. Toggle side nav, and this not toggle side nav, toggle side nav, and this toggle side nav is actually just let's see where it is. Right here. It's a span. It's actually just this icon in my top nav. So when we click on that icon, so toggle side nav dot click, I'm gonna run a function. And it's gonna be what are we gonna do? We're gonna toggle the class of toggle class of toggled to the body. And toggle class, what it does is, if the body doesn't have a class of toggled, it will give it a class of toggled, but if it does, it will remove it. So that way we ensure that if we click on this once, it will open the side nav or reveal it, and then if we click it the second time, it will hide it. And then we're gonna do the same for body wrapper. So class of body wrapper dot toggle class toggled. Let's hit save and let's refresh. And as you can see, well, we actually kind of already have the functionality of our side nav. Now what we need to do is make sure that when we click on this X, it closes. But yeah, as you can see, when I click on the toggle button twice, it hides the side nav. Alright, so the close icon has a class of close side nav. So I'm going to say close side nav dot click function, and then, well, essentially the same, but I'm just going, instead of toggle class, we want to remove the class, because we don't want to be adding the class, we only want to be removing it. Now let's refresh, and as you can see, yeah, we're pretty much done. But one thing that I really like to do is make sure that when you click outside, for example, if you click right here as I currently am, I want to make sure that the side nav closes. That's pretty difficult to achieve with jQuery or JavaScript, but I found this cool click outside plugin, and you can just copy the code. You can rewrite it, it's not that long, and this, to make sure that when we click outside of the side nav collapses, we're going to type in so toggle side nav and side nav. So when we click outside of this icon and outside of this side nav, so click outside, and this is from the custom jQuery function. So dot click outside, we're gonna run a function which is going to be exactly the same as the close side nav one. So let's save it and refresh, and as you can see, when I click on this, it closes, but when I also click outside of the side nav, it collapses the side nav as well. So as you can see, it was a really short tutorial. It's really simple to do. And if you guys have any questions, make sure to leave them down in the comment section below. Also, please give me ideas on what to record next, because I'm literally running out of ideas every single day. And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.